Hi friends, welcome to my channel and this video review of the Jehovah's Witness Convention 2020. In this video I'm doing an overview review of Sunday morning part 1. If you've not seen my reviews of the Friday and Saturday session, then please click the description box below and also click the links and check out the videos. In this video and all my videos, I have cherry-picked sections that I wish to talk about, as the entire unedited session on the jw.org site is almost 2 hours long. However, if you wish to see the complete unedited version, then they are all available on the jw.org site. There really is so much to talk about based on what is contained in the entire full-length unedited version of the video. So for most of the video I have let the speakers say it all, and you can come to your own conclusions for yourself. So I will just add a little bit of commentary for context. But before we dive in, I want to thank you for your support. As an ExJW Pioneer with family members who are still under the influence of the powers that run this cult, it's always a difficult decision whether to continue making videos of this type, as I know it offends and upsets my family. However, acknowledging their right to their beliefs, I too have a right to speak my truth, and with so many of you continuing to support my decision with your friendship, kind words, supportive and enlightening comments and donations, I know this is the right thing to do, because if it helps just one person, then I know I need to continue and to build on this work. So thank you for your support in watching my videos and subscribing. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, then please do so by clicking the red subscribe button and click the black notification bell, as it will really help me out. And after watching, then please also like this video if you thought it was of value. Now, I know that the Jehovah's Witnesses watching this won't like the video. They always click the thumbs down video, but hey, that's okay. And also, please leave a comment. All of these small actions really help to grow my channel and can impact the YouTube algorithm, helping my work appear as a suggested video so I can reach more people. So that being said, let's dive straight into this video review.
Patnubay ni Jehovah, ang salita niya'y totoo. Isa puso mo ka. Ikap mo, panahong nilalaan sa paglalaan.
So the Sunday morning starts with scenes of young children in school. Now, in the Saturday morning session of the convention, the video that I reviewed highlighted a clear fact that the governing body are actually targeting young people, and young people of very early ages in school. There was a heavy weighting shown to young children getting baptised on the Saturday morning, and talks then followed that specifically encouraged young children to target their school friends, and it's now being reiterated here with young children. But also note the message that is being put out here, that young children should be studying, reading their Bibles in their rooms. Now, usually young children who are unindoctrinated, they would be relaxing, watching TV, playing with games, or hanging out with their friends, and that's what a normal childhood is like. But no, the Jehovah's Witness child, the message is that they must be isolated and reading their Bibles or studying the Watchtower literature. And even at breakfast, even before going to school, they can't even enjoy breakfast and normal family time with their parents without needing to be studying the Bible and daily text. Then we see a young boy at school with his classmates, and his friends are celebrating a birthday, and this poor kid, he just wants a slice of cake and to have a little bit of fun with his friends. But no, he needs to be isolated, and the isolation and separation continues even for older children. Now, I remember growing up as a child and a teenager and not having many friends at all. And my only friend that I was really allowed to have was a Jehovah's Witness girl who was in my class. Other than that, it would have been really difficult. And at an age where myself and I know many young people are shaping who they are and forming their identity, they're being thrust into isolation, expected not to mix with others in a normal social way, but to be on their own, reading and studying Jehovah's Witness material. And that really is this message, this clear message that's coming across. Then they move on to another clear message, and it's about careers, and it's clearly saying not to choose a regular career, but they want young people to go into the pioneer work after leaving school. Again, more isolation, but clearly this isolation and the lack of social interaction from an early age is deliberate, because it's to prepare young people's minds so that they won't be influenced or discouraged from serving the organisation in a variety of volunteer roles available. So they really are doing a hard, sterling job to influence young children from a very, very young, early age.
Consider these practical suggestions. Maintain a healthy diet. Coupled with that, get sufficient rest and get a measure of exercise. Now, you can make two lists. One of the problems that you can solve, and the other problems you cannot solve at present. Act on the first list and leave the rest in Jehovah's hands. Realize that some forms of mental distress may require professional assistance. Now, of course, that decision is up to you, but it's there in the Scripture. It may be that you need the help of a physician, someone who's qualified to look into certain matters. Please rejoice in knowing that you have Jehovah's approval. Don't doubt it, not even for a moment.
It's interesting to see that Douglas Hurd, the governing body member, is expressly giving permission for the rank and file to now seek medical help for mental health conditions. I remember for many years when I was growing up as Jehovah's Witness, and also for many years after I left, going and seeking professional help from a medical professional such as a psychologist or psychiatrist, a counsellor, and professionals like that was always viewed with some caution and a little bit of suspicion, and it wasn't really encouraged. The witness's view was always to pray more or to talk to an elder or a friend in the congregation. So it's interesting now that they're almost shirking and putting the responsibility back on the individuals by expressly giving people permission to seek help if they have mental conditions that need professional treatment, which I can't argue with that it is good that they're doing that. It's just a pity that it's taken them so long to recognise that people do need help. But yeah, it is a good thing that they're giving people the permission to do that now. Why Jehovah's Witnesses feel that they need to have permission to seek help for their mental health is really down to their indoctrination. And of course, the governing body is going to put themselves in a position to try and avoid any lawsuits, particularly because mental health is high on the social agenda, and people are really suffering, they're really struggling, it's being talked about, and if they are seen, and obviously they don't want to be seen as discouraging people from seeking treatment. So yeah, unfortunately it's not out of love, it's out of avoiding lawsuits.
Instead of weakening our relationship with Jehovah and our hope, persecution can strengthen it.
Did you note in verse 12, Paul speaks of learning the secret of both how to be full and how to hunger. This secret involves relying on Jehovah for life's necessities and being satisfied with whatever he provides. And Paul certainly did that. He learned a trade to support himself so as not to be a burden to others.
Well, that's interesting. Paul, the Apostle Paul, learned to trade so he could support himself. So why is it then that Jehovah's Witnesses discourage young people in particular from going to college, university, into higher education so they too can get an education and learn trades and skills so that they can support themselves? A little bit of hypocrisy, methinks.
It may be that we too might face hunger for a variety of reasons. For example, food shortages. This could result from civil unrest or an economic crisis. World events today have caused many to lose their jobs around the world, including our brothers. So a personal economic setback may force us to live on less. Hunger can also result from persecution. When many of our brothers were put in Nazi concentration camps, depriving them of adequate food was one of the diabolical methods used in an effort to break their integrity. And even when it comes to theocratic pursuits, some who move to serve where the need is greater are forced to make adjustments and must learn to be content with less.
So, if someone goes hungry due to local and economic situations such as civil war, famine, etc., or even persecuted, such as many people experienced, not just Jehovah's Witnesses, but many, many millions of people experienced in Nazi Germany concentration camps, as he points out, it is diabolical. However, that is a very different scenario to people who move for, as he says, theocratic reasons, because these pioneers, special pioneers and missionaries, they are expected to live on less and even go hungry if necessary. This is a wealthy multi-billion-dollar business, and yet they will not support or feed their people. Now that truly is diabolical, and we all know what diabolical means.
Well, here in Venezuela, long before the crisis, there weren't so many financial problems like we have today. We could go to the stores, we could buy the amount of food we wanted, and life was peaceful. For us, the situation started to get really bad 5 years ago. It was hard to get any food at all, even basic items. There were 2 elders that I can say were checking on me almost daily, always asking how much food I needed. When I prepared it and served it, my main concern was that my children would get enough. I always gave them more food. Even though my youngest boy would ask, "Mommy, is that what you're going to eat?" I would tell him, "Yes, dear, I'm fine with this." Then he would say, "I don't think so." I would think, I can handle this, but the amount that I was eating just wasn't enough for my body. One Sunday morning during the meeting, I wasn't feeling very well, but thanks to Jehovah, my daughter was nearby. When I came to, she said, "Mom, you fainted 3 times. I said, "That can't be." So the brothers immediately took me to the doctor. I was diagnosed as having severe malnutrition. The brothers began a plan of action. They brought food that was already prepared, and in fact, they would sit by me until I finished my food. I have not yet fully recovered my body weight, because I was a little heavier. But health-wise, I have felt very well. The elders were always looking after me. That boosted my energy, and definitely, I never lost my joy. And it's all thanks to Jehovah. Thanks to him because he is the one who sustains me. He clothes me, he feeds me, and he gives me great friends. That is what Jehovah gives me.
So why isn't this multi-billion-dollar company feeding its people? Didn't God provide manna from heaven for the Israelites? So where is their God Jehovah when people are hungry? Now, if this is God's organisation, why isn't he feeding his people? Because he fed the Israelites. Why isn't he feeding people? I mean, why don't they have food banks in countries around the world and in communities where people are hungry so that they can feed the rank and file and also the wider community? I mean, when you look at many churches, they are providing for their congregations and the wider community. In fact, most food banks and soup kitchens, that are provided are set up by churches in the community. Why isn't Jehovah's Witnesses doing this? Interestingly, she had to suffer from malnutrition and faint before any of these so-called loving elders even noticed that she was ill, that she was losing weight. And unfortunately, just like Stephen Lett, she is deluded because her God Jehovah has abandoned her. Her God Jehovah, who lives somewhere in New York, doesn't even notice her when she's suffering and going hungry day after day. It's just total delusion.
Did you notice the provisions that helped our sister? First, her relationship with Jehovah. She saw the importance of staying close to him and regularly attending her meetings. And then, of course, the Brotherhood.
But what about situations where we lose everything due to disasters or civil unrest?
We were doing pretty fine, and we were happy, pioneering, working, and just trying to survive in New York.
Some of the things that you usually have to worry about is your safety, being careful of your surroundings. But hurricanes is just something we never considered. It's something we never had to worry about.
We got out with the clothes on our back. It was just total devastation. You'd lose everything. One single night.
Never had any thought that water would come into our place and destroy everything from our material possessions to our clothes. And I truly felt what it was like to be destitute. It just broke my heart. And all I could do was wonder, where do me and my wife go from here? Our assembly was scheduled for that weekend. I didn't even have a suit jacket or a tie. I think I probably took for granted something simple as clothing. I always had it.
But the brothers and sisters stepped in to assist in so many different ways. I would hear a knock on the door that Friday with 3 suits and shoes.
They purchased clothing for us. It was the most unbelievable experience. These friends gave us big hugs, gave us envelopes. We are fully convinced we were clothed by Jehovah's love. We were able to go to our assembly, enjoy taking in spiritual food, even though we were in that situation. Even though we lost everything physically, we were still able to keep on pioneering, which we have been doing up to this day.
Jehovah made a promise. Once we keep seeking first his kingdom, everything else he will take care of. And that's where my joy comes from.
If what this couple is saying is true, and they did lose everything in the hurricane, and not just a cushion and a photograph, then yes, it is a terrible situation for anybody to be in. But they seemed more concerned about attending the assembly that weekend. And interestingly, the Brotherhood showed up, but not with food, furniture, personal care items, etc. No, they didn't show up with any of that to help them get back on their feet. No, they showed up with 3 suits and shoes. I'm just disappointed they didn't turn up with socks, underwear, or a little bit of deodorant. What? No shower gel or towels, combs, or makeup? That's disgusting. They also turned up with envelopes. Now, those envelopes probably contained the slip of paper for them to fill in their ministry time. And, of course, a few hugs. Yes, after all, losing all my possessions in a hurricane, I can see how someone would need envelopes and hugs. So, joking aside, But what the so-called Brotherhood provided was specific things to help this couple get to the assembly that weekend. So Jehovah clothed them, indeed, so that they could go to the convention and continue pioneering. Delusion really has set in, and sad to say, the sad thing is Jehovah's Witnesses watching this testimonial would be clapping and smiling and jumping around like a circus performing seal, soaking up all of that nonsense and not thinking.
When natural disasters or other calamities strike, time and again, our Christian brothers are the first on the scene to render needed assistance materially and spiritually to fellow Christians as well as to others in need.
Seriously? Is that why kingdom halls are shut when there is a crisis in the community? When churches, mosques, synagogues, temples, and other places of religious worship are opening their doors, organising assistance, whether it be food, clothing, childcare, shelter for the night, counselling, and of course organised rescue and recovery missions. Why then are kingdom halls shut and the premises not offered up for use? Where is the governing body? Do they reach out to provide comfort to their members and make donations to the local community? I once reached out to a Jehovah's Witness and asked them this and said, where are they? Where are Jehovah's Witnesses in times of disaster? And do you know what their answer was? Their response is that it's down to the local government to provide assistance. And I was just disgusted, and I said, no, in times of crisis, it's everybody's responsibility to pull together and help the community.
Jehovah didn't reprove Habakkuk for expressing his anxieties. He had them recorded, likely to show that it's only natural for us to have such feelings at times.
I think there's some double standards going on here. So Habakkuk wasn't reproved when he had doubts. But if a Jehovah's Witness has doubts these days, then the consequences is that they're going to be marked, even disfellowshipped and shunned, with the consequences of losing their friends, their family, their whole social network. Yeah, double standards. And also, this is proof that what Jehovah's Witnesses do in terms of shunning, marking, disfellowshipping somebody just because they have doubts is totally wrong and unscriptural.
Well, like Paul, we too can rejoice despite the threat of death. Yes, death is not able to separate us from God's love. A temporary pause in the grave cannot extinguish Jehovah's love for his servants. And this fact helps us, dear friends, when we face the threat of death by sword, as Paul did.
So, at this point, during this rousing speech, I can imagine many Jehovah's Witnesses getting stirred up and asserting themselves that they won't have a blood transfusion, even if, as he says, it's a temporary pause in the grave. Unfortunately, many Jehovah's Witnesses will buy into this false delusional thinking and sacrifice their lives and the lives of their loved ones.
When everything falls apart and when everything around you is chaotic, the one thing you have is your relationship with Jehovah. Everything changed overnight. There was reports of rebels trying to take over the government. The rebels, they were known for torture if people would not agree to fight with them. As the fighting escalated and it got closer to where we lived, it was no longer safe. We had to flee, and we ended up at the branch office. The brothers were very loving. They took really good care of us. Our spiritual activities, they made sure we kept up with that. Looking back, I'm very grateful to have survived. Two things help us get through. Number one, our relationship with Jehovah. That's the only thing that keeps you stable. But then also, we were able to survive because of the help from the brothers and sisters. Those moments of trial, that's when you really realize how much you need the brotherhood.
So here we have the testimonial of a young man, and he shares that he grew up in a war-torn country. He also shares that the lives of the local community was in danger. So he then talks about the brotherhood that provided the spiritual food for him and his family. And whilst I'm sure that that was important for them, I also know for sure that physical and practical provisions are also essential and needed. However, he makes no mention of physical food, clothing, housing, financial help, etc. None of the basics that people need to survive are mentioned at all. And whilst they sheltered in the branch office, I wonder how many people were provided with shelter. Certainly not many. And I cannot imagine that many people, if any, from the local community who were non-Jehovah's Witnesses were offered any help. Jehovah's Witnesses unfortunately do not practice brotherly Christian love, the true and real love that Jesus demonstrated. They only extend their hand out to other Jehovah's Witnesses, and only in a very limited capacity, ensuring that people can still study and continue to be indoctrinated even when their lives are in danger. As usual, the leaders of this cult, the governing body, will not authorise aid to be provided in the community, let alone to their members. And it's just so sad.
But did you notice what helped Brother Dugbe to rejoice despite the threat of death? It was his relationship with Jehovah, and it was his Christian brothers who helped him to keep his hope alive through regular study, meetings, and preaching.
Sometimes there is just no words for the nonsense that comes out of the mouths of Jehovah's Witnesses. No words.
Is it possible that some of us will have to die for our faith, as many early Christians did, and as some modern-day witnesses have done?
Hold on 1 minute. Hold on. Did I hear that right? Let's listen again.
Is it possible that some of us will have to die for our faith?
So you're putting out a warning, telling people that you expect them to die for their faith? A faith that's built on what? False teachings, false prophecies, no true brotherly love. Why do you want more people to die? People have already died and lost their lives because of your false teachings, because of the blood issue, because they've taken their lives because of the abuse the child abuse that they've suffered because of the preaching work that you expect them to do when it's totally unnecessary and unscriptural. You expect people to put their lives in the balance and die just because you say so? Man, you truly are deluded. It's diabolical, and your message is truly chilling. Thanks for staying with me, guys, and watching this video, which is my review of the Sunday morning part 1 of the Jehovah's Witness Convention 2020. I hope you found it insightful. There really is so much to cover in these videos, and if I covered everything, these videos would be several hours long. So I have cherry-picked just a few points. But if you wish to see the entire unedited version of the video session, it is available on jw.org. If you want to see more content around my views of the Jehovah's Witness religion and beliefs, and the final 3 parts of the convention review, then please click the red subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't done so already, so that you won't miss an episode. I've already reviewed Friday and Saturday of the convention, and I will leave links in the description box below, so feel free to check them out. Be sure to look out for my next video, which will be a review of the Sunday morning part 2 of the convention. I aim to upload my videos weekly. Okay guys, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for being with me, and I will see you on another video. Take care now.